It's Pokemon Day in a couple of days, and then Digimon Con the week after. So glad they didn't put Digimon Con on Pokemon Day this year. Glad they learned their lesson. And you know I love talking about both the monster franchises dear to my heart. One day I'll get to talk about Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts too. But in celebration of the best time of the year for monster fans, let's work with my favorite PokeTuber to work out what Pokemon types, abilities, and signature moves the Digimon Adventure cast would have.
No snarky intro? Just something nice?
Of course, Brandon. I only ever want to do Pokemon Digimon crossovers with you.
Aw, that's so sweet. And over on my channel, we'll be doing Pokemon biomerges, essentially exploring what it might look like if trainers fused with their Pokemon.
Bangarang, let's get to it. What is up, digital companions? My name is Karn EX, and welcome back to PokeDigis. Are you excited for Pokemon Day? Are you excited for Digimon Con? Let me know! This video was made possible thanks to my sovereign level patrons, Jamon and Dogukan. Patreon.com/KarnEX is where all the cool kids are. You could be there too! So we begin with Agumon, and he to me very much feels like a starter Pokemon equivalent. Hell, basically all rookies do. And as such, I want them to feel powerful, but not overly powerful as a basic stage. The temptation was to make Agumon a fire dragon type to match its pepper flame and dinosaur elements. As there's no actual dinosaur type in Pokemon, and often in Japan dinosaurs and dragons are seen as the same thing, or very similar at least, so I think it's better to start Agumon as a fire type. Its ability will be the standard fire starter ability Blaze, which powers up fire type moves in a pinch, and its signature move will be Ember, which to me is the closest to the pepper or baby flame, and Ember is common among fire Pokemon starters, just like Agumon would probably be. For its evolution Greymon, I was somewhat tempted to make it a fire rock type given its headpiece, but I decided to just stick with fire like Agumon, as that's still the most dominant elements aside from the dinosaur. It will also have Blaze, and its signature move will be Flame Charge as a nod to the Nova Blast and Great Antler, Greymon's actual Digimon moves. When digivolving to Metal Greymon, it obviously has to gain the Steel typing. I was debating changing it completely to Dragon Steel as it has wings now and the fire element is a little bit more downplayed with Metal Greymon, but I think it works best to keep it Fire Steel, keeping the line a little bit more cohesive, which might not be the case going forward for all of these lines, and making it the second ever Fire Steel type after Heatran. And if Charizard isn't a dragon, I think it's okay that Metal Greymon isn't one either. It will have the ability Full Metal Body, which prevents other Pokemon from lowering its stats, because, you know, it has a metal body. And in connection with that, its signature move is Metal Claw. That brings us to War Greymon. Again, I was conflicted on giving it the dragon typing. Its claws are Dramon killers after all, which might make it feel a little bit weird to make it a dragon type. However, given dragon type is effective against dragon type, that feels more thematically accurate. So I am going to make War Greymon a Dragon Steel type, as it would make him effective against dragon types, but mitigate him being weak to dragon with its secondary steel typing, causing dragon moves to only inflict normal damage on War Greymon. Its abilities will be Blaze and Solar Power because of its Gaia Force, and the Pyro Ball that normally is kicked by Cinderace instead would be thrown like a basketball by War Greymon.
Wait, am I the mat to your tie?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, what the hell, man?
Shut up.
Okay! So Gabumon is more interesting. Its line having a connection to Ice and Foxfire? It doesn't actually fit into conventional Pokemon starter boxes. Instead, we approach it more so like a Poochyena, Lillipup, or even Absol, kinda. So Gabumon is going to be normal type. It has the potential to be dark or ice, but as a rookie, that's just a normal little guy right there. Its main ability would obviously be Fur Coat, that reduces the damage from physical moves. Gabumon's main thing is that it's a little reptile wearing the fur coat of a Garurumon, and in keeping with its horn, its signature move would be Horn Attack. Its evolution Garurumon very much feels in the wheelhouse of Mightyena, as well as Zoroark, Absol, and others, which is why we've gone with the Fire Dark type. Remember, these are Digimon, and so while we're giving them Pokemon conventions, their very nature means that these things are going to be a bit more unconventional. Garurumon's signature Foxfire or Blue Blaster is a blue flame that could do cold damage, could do fire damage, but it's just easier to settle on Fire Dark for Garurumon, especially with the Dark type feeling appropriate with Garurumon and where Garurumon's moon theming. Its ability will match Mightyena, Intimidate, which lowers the foe's attack stat, and we had to make its signature move Will-O-Wisp, a ghostly flame attack that is often depicted as blue, just like Foxfire, where Garurumon extrapolates on that moon connection. It's literally a werewolf, someone call Taylor Lautner, but becomes a punk brawler. All that together makes an easy fighting dark type, cementing its place among Pokemon like Pangoro and Scrafty as street brawlers. Its ability is Hustle, which boosts its attack stat but lowers accuracy, as where Garurumon feels like a hustler and its signature move is Dynamic Punch. Metal Garurumon proved tricky. We wanted to preserve the dark typing inherited from Garurumon and Weregarurumon, but the fact of the matter is that this Digimon's two standout traits are being Metal Garurumon and its Ice association. So while it does lose both its typings, it becomes an Ice-Steel type, the first of its kind since Alolan Sandshrew and Sandslash, making it potentially weak to Wargreimon's Pyro Ball, but leaving it as a good all-rounder. Its ability will be Ice Body, that lets a Pokemon gradually regain HP in a hailstorm, and its signature attack will be Frost Breath, to align with Metal Garurumon's existing Cockeyedus Breath attack.
Cock breath.
What did you call me?
No, wait, I'm sorry.
Hey, what about Omnimon?
Oh yeah, difficult one, innit? It's like half Wargreymon, half Metal Garurumon, so it'd be tempting to just make it a Fire-Ice type, but then Steel is kind of a huge part of it.
It's also not sort of light enough, for lack of a better word, to be the Fairy type.
Maybe we just make it a Fire-Ice type that also has a Perpetual Stellar Terra type too, maybe?
Sure, and why don't you guys in the comments sound off about what you think Omnimon's type should be?
Alright, let's move over to Biyomon. Biyomon, I guess, would be most similar to your early root birds. Your Pidgeys, your Hoothoots, your Hiddoves. Biyomon to me is a natural flying type. There's a temptation to go flying normal like some other early root birds, but I think pure flying type is appropriate. Her ability will be Aerialate, which turns normal type moves into flying type moves, making her an all-round flying type, and her signature move, Razor Wind, I think is pretty similar to Biyomon's actual attack. This is where Digivolution gets fun, because the pure flying type Biyomon digivolves to Birdramon, which has to be a fire flying type. I mean, look at it. I will also give it the ability Flame Body, which causes contact with the Pokemon to burn the attacker, and the signature move Meteor Assault or Flame Burst to reference Berdramon's Meteor Wing. It having Flame Body is also pretty fun, because it could hatch Digi-Eggs faster, which might be useful if, say, Angemon turned back into a Digi-Egg or something. Then into Garudamon, Berdramon's flames are extinguished, which is why I struggle to make Garudamon a fire type still. It does have fire-based moves, but it's not the most overtly fire type Digimon, instead focusing on its fists, which is why I'm making it a fighting flying type. Its ability will be Delta Stream that creates strong winds when the ability activates, just feels like it works for Garudamon, and the signature move Oblivion Wing is incredibly similar sounding to Garudamon's move Shadow Wing. And the line ends on Phoenixmon, and I think it will regain its fire typing. Again, this would be pretty unconventional for Pokemon, but these are Digimon, and I'm going to give it Perish Body as an ability, which means that when hit by a move that makes direct contact, the Pokemon and the attacker will faint after 3 turns unless they switch out of battle. This to me is probably the closest Pokemon ability that matches the concept of the Phoenix, sort of. There's no Pokemon ability that, like, when you die, you instantly get revived or something. That would be a good ability though, probably a bit OP. And I'm going to give it the signature move, the OP fire type starter final move, Blast Burn.
Alright, we're back in familiar territory with Gomamon. It's aquatic and also mammalian, so it could easily be a water starter. And in keeping with the starter Pokemon, it's getting the ability Torrent, which powers up water type moves in a pinch. Schooling was also a tempting ability, but Gomamon doesn't change form with its marching fishes, so Wishy-Washy's ability doesn't fit here, despite the School of Fish thing. And for a signature move, sadly there's no Pokemon move that summons a horde of fish to attack, so we're just gonna go with Brine. Ikakumon ups the ante a little bit, coating Gomamon in white fur, which makes it feel a little bit closer to Pokemon like Walrein. And so Ikakumon becoming the water ice type seems appropriate, as he kind of resembles a walrus. This also means it having thick fat, which ups resistance to fire and ice type moves, and is very appropriate for this chonky boy. It'll master Horn Drill, as that move is probably the closest to Harpoon Torpedo and is a perennial favorite of another horned water type, Seaking. Its evolution makes things interesting. Zudomon brandishes Thor's hammer, lending itself very well to the electric water type, joining Rotom Wash and the flipped version of Chincho and Lantern. A fun ability for Zudomon could be Snow Warning, in which the Pokemon summons a hailstorm in battle, literally acting as a warning to its opponent that Zudomon is about to Digivolve into Vikemon. Sadly, there's no electric hammer move in Pokemon, but we think just like Tinkaton, Zudomon's signature move could be Gigaton Hammer. And the line ends with Vikemon, an ice Viking that has a move called Mjolnir Hammer. Yeah, that's an electric ice type. And funnily enough, shares this typing with another Rotom form, Frost Rotom. Nice. Let's give Vikemon Ice Body. That grants the Pokemon the ability to gradually regain HP in a hailstorm, which would be awesome if set up by its pre-evolution Zudomon. I guess in this hypothetical Digimon crossover, Digimon can evolve mid-Pokemon battle, which feels appropriate. I guess Vikemon is a mega evolution after all. Its signature move should be a strong ice type move, so Glacial Lance feels pretty good, even though Vikemon doesn't have lances.
Palmon would definitely be our grass starter of the bunch, and as such is a grass type. Very straightforward, its ability will be Solar Power, which means in Sunshine its special attack is boosted but HP decreases, and its signature move will be Vine Whip, which is in very much the same wheelhouse as Palmon's Poison Ivy. Digivolving to Togemon, I mean, it's obviously grass fighting, right? This might have been the easiest pick of the entire video. Grass fighting type, absolutely. Giving it the ability Rough Skin, which inflicts damage to the attacker on contact, yep, that's what a cactus would do, and the signature move Needle Arm. Need I say more? Digivolving from there, Togemon becomes Lilymon, I think a natural contender for the Grass Fairy type, and giving it the ability Fairy Aura, which raises the power of Fairy type moves for all Pokemon in battle, lends itself to Lilymon's more kind nature. And with the signature move Fleur Cannon, which is literally just Flower Cannon, couldn't be more perfect. And we end the line on Rosemon, also a Grass Fairy type, also with Fairy Aura, but instead we'll have the signature move Power Whip, which is a more powerful Vine Whip, just like her rookie stage Palmon. You can Power Whip me. What's wrong with us?
Oh, so Rosemon is too far, but thirsting after Arukenimon on Twitter is fine? Yeah, that tracks. Okay, so Tentomon. Pretty obviously an electric bug type. And in fact, that would be its entire line. Kabuterimon, Mega Kabuterimon, and Hercules Kabuterimon. All electric bugs. Tentomon's ability will be Swarm, that powers up bug type moves in a pinch, and its signature move would be Thundershock. Kabuterimon's ability will also be Swarm. We can't really give it Compound Eyes, so it'll deliver a Shockwave as a slightly more powerful Thundershock. Mega Kabuterimon with its big horn will gain the ability Lightning Rod, which draws in electric type moves to up its special attack. And despite that, we're gonna give it Mega Horn, which isn't an electric type move, but it's Mega Kabuterimon in the dub. And it has a big horn. Plus, its signature move isn't its entire moveset, you know. It would also have some electric type moves. And finally is Hercules Kabuterimon. We'll give it the ability Electromorphosis to double the power of the next electric type move when it's hit by an attack, which will charge its signature move Bolt Strike. It does have a big horn, but it feels less noticeably big than Mega Kabuterimon's.
Well, that's made some fetishists here.
I think I'm on some kind of list now.
Join the club. Digidestined Feet is unfortunately in my search history. Anyway, Patamon is going to be a flying type too, it just makes the most sense, with the ability Levitate, giving it immunity to ground type moves as Patamon spends a lot of time levitating. And the signature move is Sonic Boom, because of Boom Bubble. Digivolving then to Angemon, there's no light type in Pokemon, so Brandon and I thought that perhaps Fairy is the closest to a light type, and that's why we're going to make all the Angels Fairy types somewhat, and in this instance Angemon is Fairy Flying. Its ability will be Justified, which raises attack when hit by a dark type move, very appropriate for Angemon fighting Devimon, and its signature move Comet Punch is a reference to Angemon's Heaven's Knuckle. When digivolving to Magna Angemon, Angemon gains more armor and a sword, so I think Steel Fairy would be appropriate. And giving it the ability Steel Worker would power up its newly found steel type moves, and I don't have any problem giving it Sacred Sword, and a move called Sacred Sword feels really good for an Angel Digimon. Finally, ending on Seraphimon, we're going to keep the Steel Fairy typing. Seraphimon feels very close to Magna Angemon conceptually, and we're gonna give out an ability that has previously only been available to Victini, but if anyone deserves it, I think it's Seraphimon and someone else, and that is Victory Star, which boosts the accuracy of its allies and itself. And given Seraphimon and Magnadramon, TK Inkari, Patamon, and Gatomon, also intrinsically linked in Adventure, they have a whole prophecy, and even into 02 and beyond, I think Seraphimon having an ability which boosts in a double battle works really nicely. And Light of Ruin is a cool fairy type move, which yes, is the signature move of the Eternal Flower Floette, but it's never been released anyway, so why not give it to Seraphimon?
And every Angemon needs an Angemon.
Every Pokemon needs its Digimon.
Every collab needs a segue.
Been a tough winter, huh?
You have no idea. Alright, to round us out, the rookie Salamon will be normal type. It's just a little guy. It's a very cute Digimon, so Q-Charm, which can cause infatuation upon contact, seems like a good pull. And giving it the signature move, Howl, which is probably the closest to Salamon's actual Digimon move, Puppy Howl. Gatomon is a little tougher. It enters Digimon Adventure as a sort of bad guy, and it feels similar to Team Rocket's Meowth in some ways, which is actually what settled us on not making it the dark type, as Meowth and Persian are just normal types, and that Holy Ring definitely wouldn't work for a dark type anyway. Giving it the ability Kenai feels appropriate thematically, and that ability prevents other Pokemon from lowering its accuracy, which feels useful for Gatomon. And routing it out with the signature Feint attack works well. The move's dark type hints at Adventure Gatomon's bad side and is close conceptually to her Neko Punch. Much like Angemon, we think Fairy type is probably the closest to a light type, so if there were an angelic Pokemon, they would definitely have the Fairy type. Or again in this instance, a Fairy flying type. A light with wings. Yep, that's definitely what an angel is. Angemon will have the ability Fairy Aura, which raises the power of Fairy type moves for all Pokemon in battle, meaning if she was in a double battle on the same team as Angemon, they would both benefit from her ability. And she'd also dish out triple arrows. It is a fighting type move and not fairy or flying, but it works pretty well as an allusion to Angewomon's Holy Arrow. And the line will end on Magnadramon, which, given it becomes a Holy Dragon at this stage, has to be the Fairy Dragon type, which it would share with Mega Altaria, which feels very fitting. This is a really defensively good type combination for Magnadramon, making it resistant to fighting, bug, fire, water, grass, electric, dark, and immune to dragon type. Its ability would be Victory Star, which boosts the accuracy of its allies and itself, which again thematically works connecting Magnadramon to Seraphimon and making her work better in double battles as TK and Kari's partners are so intrinsically linked. Don't say we never did nothing for you, TK and Kari shippers. And let's just give Magnadramon a powerful fairy move. She's gonna have Moonblast, or if you prefer a dragon move, Draco Meteor.
And that's it, our thoughts on what Pokemon typings, abilities, and signature moves the Digimon Adventure partners would have. This was something a little different in our PokeDigi wheelhouse, so if you enjoyed it, please like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment down below saying more PokeDigis please. That'll also help me know who stuck around to the end of the video, who the real ones are. Just so we know it's something you actually want to see. When a video does well, that cues us in, that lets us know that you want to see more of it, and then we can start planning to do Adventure 02, Tamers, and beyond. Also make sure you go check out Brandon's channel, where they've got some artists to cook up. What was it again?
Oh, we've got some heat. If you like Biomerge Evolution from Digimon Tamers, we're doing that, but with Pokemon. This ain't like Ash Greninja or the Rebirth manga. This is a true merging of trainer and Pokemon.
So yeah, please go check that out. Thank you to my sovereign patrons, ZDK14 and Jamon. Everyone else who supports me over on patreon.com/Karn EX. I really do appreciate you very much. And to all my channel members here on YouTube, you guys are holding it down too. Thank you all so much. I am so excited to share what I've got for you into March and April. There's a lot of cool stuff cooking up. So thank you. So happy Pokemon Day. I'll be live streaming the Pokemon Presents. Happy Digimon Con. I'll also be streaming that. And I'll see you all next time when we go digital. Bye bye.